Thanks for clicking through to see this amazing result that my client got, my healthcare client got over the last 2 years. When I started working with them 2 years ago, we did a 6-month program. At the start of that program, their annual turnover was around 6 million. And this year they will hit 12 million. They're on track for at least 12 million. And it's been an incredible growth curve for them. And what we did was 6 steps. And we did 6 steps that I worked through with a lot of my clients. And every time we go through these steps, we tailor it to the client. I want to talk to you about step one. So step one is about creating a client or customer or market-centric growth plan. Now, most businesses, most sales teams are so focused on their own business that they tend to go and pitch to customers, and they pitch the product and they pitch the solution. But what we're going to realize early on in conversation is that customers don't care about that stuff. In the early conversation, what they really care about is themselves and how you're going to be relevant to them. So we use this process. I just want to share something with you because this is a really useful toolkit that we use. I use this, we call it the Inspire Sales Toolkit. And this toolkit has lots of different documents in it. And where we normally start is here, what we call it the Prepare To framework. Now, most of you will be familiar with the traditional SWOT analysis, the 4-blocker. This is like a SWOT analysis on steroids for sales. And we have 4 elements. You'll see there's 4 key components to this 4-blocker. The first one, if you look along the y-axis, you've got internal, external. Along the x-axis, you've got the client, your client, and your business. And really what that helps us to do is start to orientate ourselves to think about a plan that's much more market and customer centric. So on the left-hand side, you've got everything related to the client, what's going on internally for them, and you can see the different elements of that. And at the top, you've got market insight. How is the client looking at the market and starting to tease that out? Now, not a lot of businesses do this. And this is why this is so transformational, because it gets your sales team thinking like your customer. And then the third box here is external validation. So we're thinking external to our business in the marketplace and how we leverage those external resources to become really valuable to your potential client. And then the final box is about what you do within your business, the things that you know you need to take to a client in order to be successful and to engage them. And what you'll find is this really simple approach, what it does is it stops sales teams from pitching. It stops them from going in and just saying, we've got this great product or this great solution. It gets them to start to think much more like the customer and what's going on in the market. And so from there, we're able to create insights. And those insights, which is step 2, those insights allow the value proposition to your prospective customer to be much more tailored. So that when you get in the conversation with the customer's already sold or pre-sold because they are seeing you as an external valuable resource, not just someone that's coming to pitch at them. And then step 3, once you get in front of the customer, we have to pivot at that point. So the customer's interested early in hearing what insights you've got. What do you know about the market? What do you know about other customers like them? Then we have to pivot to asking questions and listening carefully. And this is the big gap I see, and most of my clients see within their own sales organizations, that the sales team, once they get that hook, we have to be careful that they don't get the hook and then carry on pitching, because that's when you lose the customer. So we get them engaged with the hook, but once the hook's landed and we're in front of a customer, then we have to go in discovery mode. And we do that using our Inspire sales process. And the N for the word inspire, so the I is insight, we've covered that. The N is needs. Understand what the customer needs and ask really good questions. Learn to stop talking, which is where most salespeople struggle. Stop talking, listen carefully, ask high quality questions. And we help to map those questions out. The next step then is to tailor their pitch decks or tailor the solution mode. So we're using Inspire, the I is insight, the N is needs, the S is solution. So the solution discussion is about making sure that whatever you're presenting back to the customer, you're linking it to what they've said they need. And that sounds so obvious when we say it, but so many sales teams miss that connection. And it takes practice and it takes skill development to get people to start to join up the dots and make that happen. And then the fifth piece, the fifth piece is about practice. So giving them the chance to just keep working through, practicing, so that they get the opportunity to get used to that new way of working. Insight first, ask about the business, discover needs next, then talk about a solution. And that those three first stages are really important to get that embedded in the way that sales teams work, so that they do that automatically rather than pitch automatically. And then the final step that we worked on is about follow-up. So making sure that in every situation, every sales conversation, there is a call to action, like a close, and they're closing and asking for commitment, but then they're following up. So they're saying, instead of saying, well, let me leave that with you, or let me, you come back to me when you're ready. Instead of that, saying, what are the next steps and when should we talk again? And that final follow-up is so important, because that has this effect of compressing the sales process. And we do this when we work through this, it's all through our Inspire sales model. You'll see the book that I wrote behind me, Inspire, Influence, Sell. We've got lots of resources that help sales teams to think and act differently after the training. So we got the book that they work through. You saw the toolkit, lots of different documents within that toolkit. They start to map out and create their own plans. We have a sales scorecard that we use to measure sales effectiveness. And then finally, we have an online program that allows teams to go through and work through different video modules so that they get a complement to the live sessions that we run. And then recently, literally in the last couple of months, we've developed a custom GPT, which is effectively an AI sales coach that's trained on these models. I hope that's useful for you. I hope hopefully in there's some ideas that you've already got. If you'd like a copy of the toolkit, just feel free to reach out to me. If you'd like a copy of the book, I've got a digital copy of the book. Reach out and I'll happily send you a digital copy of the book. And it's these small incremental changes that we make, and if we embed them over time, the impact is incredible, doubling the business in just 2 years. And I'm sure the same could happen for your business. If you'd like a conversation about how that might happen in a way that's perhaps more supported, rather than just things that you're figuring out yourself with your teams, feel free to contact me and I'll gladly share details of how we work, and perhaps some ideas that might even help you to do this yourself if that's what you're looking for. But if you want help, if you want support, if you want your team to get support, feel free to reach out. Good luck with implementing those ideas, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Thanks.